super delighted to be hosting the enabler of the day today, which is going to be AIC Nalanda. So AIC Nalanda is situated in Bhubaneswar, and they are doing some amazing work in the eastern region of our country. And they're also great supporters of Headstart. Recently we did Bharat Pichathon, which was kind of like a mini summit, right? So it was great to hear all these stories and the videos that came out of that incubator. So with that being said, would love to introduce Mr. Durga Prasad, who is the COO of AIC Nalanda.
Thank you, Vagish, for giving a wonderful introduction about AIC Nalanda and all the good work that we have been doing in collaboration with Headstart. And really glad to be there on the platform of yet another Startup September beginning. And at the very onset, it has been very encouraging to see that this entire idea of having a day-based program, dedicating each day to the fund enabler and entrepreneur, and it's really great to be here. As you rightly mentioned about AIC Nalanda and Headstart going together, it was from our very inception and with the overarching collaboration with Atal Innovation Mission that Headstart and AIC Nalanda had come together. And we are one of the first Headstart hubs in the state of Odisha, just like we were the first Atal Incubation Center in Odisha. And since then, in 2020, when we started our operations, it has been 3 long years and lots of activity across. I think as the communication goes, as the conversation grows, we will discuss more on it.
Super. Yeah, it's our pleasure to have you in one of our events, right? So, and thank you so much for the opening remarks. Really appreciate it. So, just to get started on today's session, we'll highlight all the amazing things that AIC Nalanda does, and as an enabler. And we can, of course, try to highlight success stories of the startups incubated and graduated over there, right? So, with that being said, would love to hear first about the Samriddhi 3.0 accelerated program that your coach launched. So, please, if you can take 2 minutes and give a brief description of what that program is about and where startups can find more details about it, that would be great.
Thank you, Vagish, for mentioning about the Samriddhi Acceleration Program. In fact, this was the first accelerator program that we started in collaboration with the government of Odisha's nodal agency here for startups, which is Startup Odisha. So they have been cooperative enough to start in collaboration this program, and this was mostly focused on startups who are recognized by Startup Odisha. We have always seen that in case of Odisha and many other states in the country, where tier 2, tier 3 cities startups do face a lot of challenges in terms of accessing the right market, understanding the entire business and financial modeling for their businesses to grow, and to somehow get onboarded onto the right track for the acceleration to happen. So more than an acceleration, as we say, it started with a pre-acceleration kind of movement where we had startups who came again back to their drawing boards, trying to work more on the part of revitalizing the building processes of their businesses, and see that we also have a good market access program into it, which was embedded then, starting with various industry associations like CII, FICCI, and the UCCIL here in Odisha. So the Samriddhi Acceleration Program, when it started, was focused on Startup Odisha recognized startups. But this year, for the first time, we are also bringing in startups from the other states who would like to some kind of anchor operations in Odisha. And that is where Startup Odisha and AIC Nalanda would together facilitate them to begin from the eastern coast of the country. And having said this, we are also looking forward that many of the startups in Odisha will also get a peer connect access to the other geographies. At the same time, the collaborations that we have pan-India will also be leveraged to see that these startups find an access to market, to mentor, to money, and of course to the best minds in the country. So that's what the Samriddhi program is all about. We are also having Headstart as a partner to that. And of course, we'll have a few open house sessions with the great minds in Headstart's Network Foundation. We are close to closing the applications, and just a day or two, and then we will be announcing the cohort for the third time.
Got it, got it. So, if you would like to just mention where they can find the application, they reach your website.
Absolutely. www.aicnalanda.com is the place where they can always visit to see the current programs that are active with AIC Nalanda.
Super. Yeah. Cool. So now, getting into the brass tacks of things, right? So I have prepared a set of questions. It's a bit semi-formal, but of course, we wanted to have quick answers from you, so that we can cover a wide area of topics. So let me just go ahead and shoot the first question. So, what are the three words that come to your mind when you think about AIC Nalanda and the impact that it is creating in this region, right? And why you want to think those words?
Three words would be, Vagish, I am there in AIC Nalanda since very scratch of it, from the brick and mortar stage, as they say. And that's where we coined one of the mottos of AIC Nalanda tagline, which was ideate, create, and elevate. So it was apt to all the three kind of our target audience that we wanted to shoot at. Is that we want a very disruptive ideation to happen in the ecosystem, and then wonderful products and services coming out of it, creating them, and then elevating them to a level where the journey of an entrepreneur is more smoothened out. So I think the three words, as you say, is ideate, create, and elevate.
Super. Yeah, phenomenal, right? Actually, so that kind of is the holy trinity also for starting up with what I would like to say. And the next question is going to be about the impact that AIC Nalanda has created, right? What would you, if you would like to highlight a significant impact through your programs or events that AIC Nalanda had created in your region, what would that?
See, as I said, we started in 2020, and then it was the high peak of COVID times. In fact, I always say that we have a co-birth with COVID. AIC Nalanda and COVID came in existence together. And hence it was this time that most of the things were virtual. The first thing that we started reorganizing was the connect between startups and the enablers. So there was our very first program as an outreach was Startup Connect campaign. And today is at this moment, we have launched one of the startup products, if I say, from an incubation center, which is called Start Connect. So this would be connecting all the 7 to 8 stakeholders of Odisha's startup ecosystem, may it be startups, mentors, investors, academia, R&D bodies, investors, HNIs, and also the innovation ecosystem very specifically. Because as I said, that in tier 2, tier 3 cities, there is always this need to kind of jump into the startups. But Bhubaneswar has been a standalone where we see very indigenous ideas coming into existence. And to support that, we have also layered down a total, if I say at the bottom of the pyramid is the innovation which needs to grow. So with the launch of our dedicated Fab Lab, which has an innovation club in itself and works with more than 20 to 25 Atal Tinkering Labs, we have been able to lay the substrata on which this entire innovation ecosystem is going to stand firmly. So if you ask me, the best impact on this ecosystem would be connecting the stakeholders and to nurture and promote the innovation ecosystem in the state.
Got it. So in connection to that, can you also highlight the programs and events to achieve your objective? Like we covered Samruddhi. So like that, is there any program that you offer for which is ongoing? And is there any special program for here which startups can look out for things like that?
Yeah, sure. I'll tell you the 3 programs that we have well lined up from last 3 years of operation. As I said about the innovation ecosystem thing. So one program I must mention here is called Tinker Saturday. So that's all about school kids who come into the spaces every Saturday into our incubation center, meet the startups here, dive into the technologies that we have in our state-of-the-art laboratories that are there. Of course, by the help of Atal Innovation Mission, we have a Fab Lab and a Makerspace over here, AR, VR, IoT lab. There's in making is the AI ML lab. So these technologies do incite the students who are into much things from the innovation point of view. So Startup Saturday Tinker Saturday has been a great hit in that case, and has been widely recognized on multiple forums and platforms by Atal Innovation Mission as well. Then going to startups, I would say, is of course the backbone of the incubation center, which is the incubation program itself, which is called Surge, preceded by a 3 months of pre-incubation program, which is called Idea Nest. Idea Nest grooms the idea from the idea to a POC level, and the ones which funnel in are taken into the Surge incubation program. And then these programs stay there with us for these startups stay there in this program for 6 to 9 months, and within this we try to reach the product market fit level. So this is our annual cohort program. So any startups and the best part of the year to apply to Surge is always during the months of November to December. That's where we open it up, and then the process entirely follows. The third program which I would name is Angel Investment Mantra, because I said about the innovators, the entrepreneurs, so it means to say about the investment ecosystem in the state also, which I have always believed is the local ecosystem needs to be embedded, needs to be strengthened and empowered in the sense where this entire ecosystem grows organically and holistically. In that sense, we have started connecting the HNIs as well, and that has been a great impact because we are able to now build out a small angels group, and which would be soon rolling down its funds into startups as well.
Nice. Good to know. Super. Actually. So, and just to be clear, these programs are they are available for all these startups regardless of where they are.
Yes. No, thanks, Vagish, also if I had missed out this point about that. AIC Nalanda as of now have been mostly sector agnostic. This year we would be also launching a few sector focused programs which are prevalent to the domain of Odisha and particularly the eastern region of our nation. But as of now, we have been sector agnostic, and many of our programs will stay sector agnostic as such.
Super. Nice. So let's time travel, right? So we have been talking about the impact, the mission of AIC Nalanda and the program. So let's go to 2025 or 2026, right? So looking back at 2 or 3 years, what would you? If you can list down the top 3 challenges or list down the top 3 objectives that you would have achieved, right, in this period. If you can, highlight those things, that'll be great.
Quite a prophetic question, of course, to time travel to 2025. But of course, making that travel go, if I see myself in 2025 and back the years, I would see myself AIC Nalanda as a hub for the entire startup ecosystem in the state. Being situated in the capital city, it owes a lot. And we have been reaching out to the nooks and corners of the states, to multiple small micro ecosystems in the state, maybe the western, northern and the southern part of the Odisha. I am absolutely sure that AIC Nalanda would make it to great heights in terms, not just in terms of its programs, but also to connecting with various stakeholders. I see a wonderful innovation ecosystem all bundled together to the hub that is AIC Nalanda. And of course, see a good community of startups also grown around this entire ecosystem.
Super. Nice. Cool. Now, shifting gears a bit, right? With the 5 minutes that we have left, we'll just take a look at the startup side also, right? So what would you say? What are the things that you would list? Top 3 things that AIC Nalanda provides to the startups, which may not be available at any other incubator in that region or anywhere else.
See, this is one that I always converge with the startups when they come for any kind of support to AIC Nalanda. One is the kind of mentors that we have. Of course, there's a wide contribution which goes from Headstart and also in the local regional ecosystem. So mentoring is something which the startups has to understand both from the operational and the business modeling point of view. The model of businesses that comes out requires a lot of involvement of the mentors and something that is very specific. I think the kind of mentoring that you get in AIC Nalanda would be one of its kind. The second is the access to market. with our collaborations with various corporates, with business organizations and multiple forums and platforms, I think startups get the best of the visibility in terms of the growth of the business that they want to do, and more of piloting and making field trial opportunities with multiple stakeholders, maybe at the government level, at the corporate level, at below, right on the pyramid level. We have a host institution, so you already have a organic bed of consumers whom you can always pitch out to. So that's where is another upper hand. And lastly, if I would like to mention, Vagesh, in terms of what AIC Nalanda offers, is a super awesome team, a motivated team that you get from AIC Nalanda. We have all the resources in-house. Our team members do work for the startups in terms of their social media presence, their IT enablement, and the funding, the recognitions, the certifications, IP, everything that you get in-house in the team of AIC Nalanda. We are now 14 people in the team. So far as if I consider contemporary incubators in the entire Eastern region, we would be the bigger team size as I consider. And that's where our pros lie. And of course, there's always a scope of improvement. I look forward to work more with Headstart and many such other platforms where AIC Nalanda would come up with many things to come.
Yeah. So I concur with the team part, having worked with you.
You always absolutely.
So phenomenal team actually. Yeah. So okay, last question, right?
Sure.
So this is kind of what do you say? Maybe something you mentioned about the indigenous idea, right? So and the ideas can perhaps run wild with some startups. So can you mention some story about the startup where the idea seemed pretty crazy to begin with, but of course with the support of AIC Nalanda they could do well, and now it is being really good actually. So if you can highlight something like that, that'll be good.
This has an endless explanation, I would say, where I would like to mention and speak so passionately about the startups whom we have incubated at AIC Nalanda. To mention a few, I'll tell you that when startups come from an environment of a kind of city like Bhubaneswar, or even from more remote areas, they are more empathetic towards problem which are social by nature, but at the same time has a much larger scope of commercialization. Just that they need to have right guidance and support in terms of everything. I'll mention a startup which is called Om Platforms. It was in fact one of our first batch of startups. So Om Platforms then had designed a very specialized PPE kit. But pivoting around with the changes that happened on the COVID front, now they are suppliers to many of the municipal corporations, where these PPE kits are no longer just PPE kits by sense, but are protective gears for any kind of ARDS kind of issues. And these young students coming out of IIIT Bhubaneswar, getting incubated at AIC Nalanda, has been working with Commissionerate of Police for that sense, and doing many things. I think our connections as they evolved with their evolution was spectacular. One such case was also from a boy who started working on a zero carbon product, where he was working into a smokeless kind of chula. And now that has been rewarded with the best idea in the Smart Ideathon 2023 in Bangalore, which recently held. It is Anup Paikwa's New Root Technology. So that's going to be a fabulous story in US in the coming months also. So these are two stories that are very dear to my heart, because they were social as well as I had very keenly worked with these guys. But on the point of view of scaling startups also, we have supported startup from Raurkela, which is Transport Simple. That's doing great wonders. And there are many such stories which have evolved out of AIC Nalanda. So something which is again very specific to say is that we have very less of manufacturing and product innovation based startups. That is what we are very keenly working upon, and that's why I mentioned a few into that domain, where I know a student from the host institution itself working on a 5G enabled drone with a plug and play facility. So a lot of these stories are coming up. I think we will be able to showcase and demonstrate a lot in the HSX summit coming ahead, where Odisha and its startups will also show its prowess.
Yeah, for sure. Super. Awesome to hear those stories, right? And also, thank you so much for sharing. I think on that note, it's time for us to move to the next event. But first, Durga, it's always a pleasure to have you in one of our events. Great interacting with you. Hope to, of course, enable the D2C startups in D2C Blaze Accelerator program that we are doing with Netcode. So, more on that, we will, of course, Headstart and as well as AIC Nalanda will publish on our channels. So, with that being said, thank you so much, Durga. Again,
thank you.